putting in the instructor section of your folder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How many you guys got in the class? 12. So we're missing that. There we are. Sean? Sean? Is it acacia? Acacia. Cheyenne? Heather? Heather? Natalie? Oh, thank you for silencing that. Nope. Natalie? Very good. Shelby? Madison? Oh. Millard.
Do you have my brother?
Alex Millard. Yeah, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? It's been a while. Ryan, with the double N, did I pronounce right?
Yes.
So, Danny, and Audrey? Andre, I'll get it to Russian, right? And Raquel. Raquel.
She's not here.
She's not here?
No.
Okay. Did you get a phone? Oh, here. Madison, the other Madison. Let's see if I look a little bit better through my glasses. Okay, have you guys talked yet about what you got going all the time when you're out there, driving around? Oh, that's my phone, there we go. And these things always interact with each other. Four things always that interact. You always got them when you're driving around. It's part of your, think of it as your driving world. What do you always have out there?
Driver's license?
The what? The driver's license. Why do you have that?
So if cop pulls me over.
Oh, so it happens to be the police. What we want to say is the law, right? It's the law that you have to have your permit on when you drive right now. With whom? A parent or person at least 5 years on their license. So that makes them how old?
21.
At least 21. Okay. That's the law. Okay. You always have that. That's governing your ways you're driving, who gets to drive, what you're driving, where you're driving, all those things. You got to know that. And that's why we spent all the last week talking about what your IDL is. Remember the IDLs? What is the IDL? IDL. As in driver's license. The I stands for. See, you know it. That's the thing you're going for right now. You got to know what it's all about. Okay? You also talked about what, especially on last Wednesday. We talked about, you know, what the road's telling you to do. What are those things that tell you what to do when no one's around? Signs. It's the law that tells you what to do. It's the law that determines this shape is going to mean what. There you go. It's going to mean also it's a certain color, right? What's the law say? Red. It used to be yellow. That was the law in this country almost a century ago. Okay? Now the laws change. You got to keep up with it. And if you don't know the law and suddenly you get pulled over for something, are you still culpable? Still at fault? Yeah. Just taking a drink of water out in North Bend could get you a fine, a citation for drinking while driving. Of course, you're not only drinking water, but you're not allowed out there in that city, in Sammamish and other areas there, to either eat while you drive or sip on some cup or anything like that. You're not allowed. I didn't know this. I never got pulled over out there, but a lot of people have that are visitors from out of town. Do they just give them warning and say, go your way? And no, they want the money. And they probably won't be back to pay or to try to contest the fine. They'll just pay it outright. You got to know the law. Okay? And the laws differ from county to county sometimes. What else do you have when you're driving? Always got it. You get your emotions, because the part of who? Yourself. You're the driver. Hopefully you know that, and you're aware of yourself as the driver. And you as a human, qua human being, has so much going for her or him. You got emotions, you got what else? You got what? Your car itself. You got to put yourself someplace, right? So the car, or maybe you're not driving a car, you're driving a motorcycle or SUV or big truck. We'll say vehicles. All kinds of vehicles on the road, right? Mixing it up. And the law says something about whether or not you're allowed to drive or ride this vehicle. Can you just ride a motorcycle when you have your license? No, you gotta have what? A motorcycle endorsement in order to do that. Okay, the law says things about that. Can you ride anywhere with a motorcycle? No? Not just anywhere? True. Shouldn't be going up on the sidewalk, right? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, very good. But you're allowed certain places that maybe other vehicles aren't allowed. Think of the freeway. Carpooling, see? The law says something about that.
Yeah.
And if you're a motorcyclist, you'd know that. You'd want to be out there away from everybody. So, good. Vehicles. One more thing. You always got when you're driving around. You got the vehicle. You got yourself in the vehicle. You're the driver. You got other drivers in their vehicles, and you're all where? On the road. That's it exactly. You got to put it someplace. Not off-road, on the road. So you got the road, and we're going to say that that's made up of your entire environment to which you drive. And the environment consists of a lot of different things that impact your driving, like what's happening out there today. Rain heavily too. And then it goes away all of a sudden. Then it comes back. You got to adjust to it. The road could be what? Just city, or it could be highway. Where's the highway? Out in the country or in the big city? Okay, so all kinds of things change with your road. You got to be prepared to handle it. We're going to talk about that next week, especially the road and the differences, how the weather impacts it and such. But today, I want you to think which of the four is the most important aspect of the driving world. Which one, in other words, if it were to break down, more than likely would lead to crashes. Which one, more than likely, leads to crashes? Think the driver? I keep hearing any other suggestions? The law breaks down. You didn't know that one about Sammamish in North Bend. The vehicle sometimes breaks down. That's true. That's a good suggestion. The road breaks up, crumbles. I mean, all kinds of things. You're right. But you know what? 9 times out of 10, this factor is responsible for a crash. What is it? Yeah, it is. It's the driver. Herself, himself. That's what we're talking about today. How the driver, or driver's emotions, like we mentioned earlier, driver's cognition, ability to think, or lack thereof, stupidity, how their intelligence or knowledge of the rules of the road and their ability to execute and apply those rules and perform, how that all affects driving. 9 times out of 10, those crashes that you see around there, you can't blame the weather, can't blame the car. Even if something happens to your car, like the brakes fail on you, maybe you weren't paying attention to them, all right? You weren't maintaining. Maybe you forgot to push that hood down all the way when you were checking the oil, and it flies up in your face while you're driving on the freeway. Who's responsible? Driver. What kinds of things do drivers do, and it affects?
But they're paid. No, they're paid, so that's good.
Driver.
It's definitely.
Driver error. What kinds of things? What are some popular ones? We usually call these the D's, the dangerous D's of driving. Think of some D words
Oh,
that...
I know, they get all excited.
Drugs, distractions, I keep hearing. Let's go. Drugs. So under the influence, distractions. What's some others?
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Well, I'm glad this one works for you. I'm the one that does the last years.
Drinking. Very good. That's the #1 cause of fatalities on the road. I said drugs again. Yeah, it is one. Drinking. What?
No, that's okay. We've heard enough already. So I'm just going to make the note.
Rage. Okay. How about derangement? Deranged. as close to rage and road rage. Good one. That's a good one. Aggressive driving of all kinds.
That's all right.
Okay.
I'm logging this
Any others?
I'm asleep.
Bingo. What's a D word for that?
The first time and
Dead.
The big sleep. Yeah, very good. Okay. That can happen. These old guys can suffer a cardiac or something, and then they do fall asleep at the wheel, literally. Let's say drowsy. How's that?
Oh.
Drowsy. But I'm going to put that down there as the dead, the driving dead, zombified driving. There you go. That's quite a few. There's others, of course, but maybe others can be subsumed under these. Different kinds of drugs affect your driving, right? You might think it's legal to take that antihistamine if your doctor prescribes something, right? But no, not for driving, not for operating a heavy piece of machinery. Okay, so there's all kinds of drugs. Illicit ones, of course, and then over-the-counter drugs that affect your driving. Yeah.
Most drugs doctors prescribe though, they put on the label, don't operate machinery,
Yeah.
so you know how it affects you.
That's right, that's right. You read the labels closely for something like that. Hopefully people do, and accept the warning. Drowsy driving is a pretty common one. You might think it's actually more common than you think. Maybe 300,000 crashes a year across the country can be attributed to that. A lot of people are just tired because they're out there what? They're working early in the morning and then what? Driving home late at night and then they fall asleep at the wheel. It's easy to get kind of in that slumber mode too when you're going with the highway and it's you know, and so now it starts to lull you to sleep. And people do. They have a lot of off-road incidents. So drowsiness is a big error, but it's not the number one. There's several up here that could potentially be the number one for all kinds of crashes. I mentioned that drinking is the major cause of fatalities on the road, but it's still not the most common for all crashes in general. Let's take a look at a license to drive video. Did you guys watch the safe method last week? The safe method, you remember that? It's kind of the empty process that we've talked about in driver ed. The safe method. What does that stand for? Stand, assess.
Find, execute.
Awesome, awesome. That's the method of driving we've been teaching since the 1950s to now. It's using your head, your eyes, hands and feet in tandem. Okay? Well, the second video in that same series covers all the driver errors possible. One of the most common ones we didn't even talk about, and I don't even know if we could put a D word to it, but it's the most common human deficiency, I suppose. Driving is mostly using what? Feet?
And your hand.
Hands, okay, so you gotta use both, that's very true. But can't you drive without your feet? Some people do. Your legs. Some people do that and they shouldn't, you're right, and they steer by knee. But think of people that have been either paralyzed or have had an amputation or something, and they want to still drive, so they get hand controls to help them move the vehicle. So you can drive without your feet. Can you drive without your arms, hands? You sure?
This Saturday at 8.
Yeah, sure. Don't you? Yeah, you're catching my drift. Yeah, I've seen people that have been double arm amputees from war learn how to drive with their feet. Of course, you got to get really limbered up later and go to your yoga on a regular basis. But they take off their shoes and socks and they use their their feet and toes to steer and use the hand controls as if they were paralyzed. They do that. Because why? What's driving still? Driving represents what? Independence. Just because you've lost a limb or something like that, you still want to maintain your independence, your freedom. to be able to do things, and so people will adapt. But now, what was that other thing you have to use when driving? Can you do it without? You gotta have your eyes. Now, the most common deficiency, what is it?
You can't see things.
That you can't see things because you need what?
Glasses.
Glasses. You guys have a permit that reads that on you? It's called, it would have restriction like this. And a C, a letter C. You got one?
Yeah, I have contacts.
You've got contacts, okay? C stands for corrective lenses, and so when you're out there driving around, you're supposed to have your contacts in if you get pulled over. And that's probably, is that how they tested you at the DOL?
Yeah.
When you did the vision test, you had your contacts in, there you go. Anybody else have it? I've seen people at DOL make the mistake and just, they don't have glasses, and then they say you have to have glasses. You don't need them. They make mistakes. But if you get pulled over, guess what? It's on your permit or on your license. Better have them. And you don't really need them.
Can we like check to see if we're in contact?
Yeah, they can check. Yeah.
My mom, when she was like first learning how to drive, she had to use a pillow to help her see out
Prop
the
up.
dash.
Yeah.
They almost put that as a restriction on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think, but that is interesting. We do bring pillows just for such an occasion with certain individuals. Okay, so our poor eyesight is one of the first things we go. And you're going to see that at the beginning of the video, but you're going to see a bunch of these other things. And I want you to figure out by the end where probably 50% of all crashes can be attributed to something. Teenagers, however, 80% of the time are responsible for crashes because of one item up here. Let's just figure that out.